morning. Thank you for joining us on Pastor's Corner. Hope you had a blessed week. We thank God for His mercy, His grace, His love. We thank you for being with us, subscribing, and all those good things to our channel. We're going to go one scripture out of the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, the virtuous woman. We're going to grab one verse there, and I think you should know the verse. It says, "She is not afraid of the snow. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For her house, she's not afraid of it. For all her household are clothed with scarlet." This is the chapter that talks about the virtuous woman, breaks down her virtues, all the things that she has. It's a great chapter there that describes the virtuous woman. I grabbed this verse because it talks about how she wakes up while it's still dark. She considers a piece of land and she purchases it. And in this part it talks and it says her family's not afraid of the winter because they're ready. They're ready for the winter. They're prepared for the winter. And I know a couple weeks ago we went deep into when you do what you're supposed to, when you do what is in front of you, it removes fear. It removes being afraid. And this one uses the word afraid, which afraid is the proper word in English for what I call the unhealthy fear. Being afraid is the unhealthy fear as compared to the fear of God, which is a healthy fear. The fear of God, the healthy fear that allows us to go down the right path because we have a healthy fear. We go down the right path. As compared to the unhealthy fear, which is being afraid. And that unhealthy afraid is also stress, anxiety, worry that comes across our life that I call it a temptation. It's a temptation to worry, to stress, to have anxiety. It's a temptation. And what is a temptation? It invites you and you decide, are you going to walk into it or if you're going to step away from it. And worry, anxiety, stress is one of those things. But the virtuous woman, she prepares, she plans. She plans for the best that she can, to the best of her ability. And in life, life brings weight onto us. It brings challenges to us. Life does. So as we talk here about the winter, the snow, here in the Phoenix area, it's kind of the opposite. It's not the winter that we prepare so much for. It's the summer. I call the summer our winter because the summer is the big challenge of dealing with the heat. And there's a lot of things that we deal with. You have to do certain things to get ready for the heat so that you don't find yourself up in the attic trying to get boxes in the middle of the day in the summertime. In the winter, no big deal. It's a different thing to go into some big outdoor project in the middle of July as compared to going into the project in the middle of November. It's two different things. It's a different challenge. So the things that we can plan for, the things we can prepare for, compared to the things that just happen to our lives, things that just come that we weren't expecting, that challenges us. So what do those have to do together? Well, the things that we can plan for, that we tackle them to the best of our ability, so that when the things that we can't plan for, that we don't see coming, that both don't add up on us. We don't add to an already challenging situation. We don't add to it. We don't make a challenging circumstance worse. That we take care of what we can take care of, so that when the other harder challenges come, we're not dealing with more than we should, because we didn't think about the winter. We didn't prepare for the winter, or we didn't prepare, as I said here, for the summer. And like I used the example of boxes in the attic, or a backyard project, or our temples, our bodies, that we do the best that we can to maintenance these bodies, that we don't make a challenging situation worse. You know what it is to live in your body. You don't know what it is to live in someone else's body. You know what it is to live in yours. But you know how to take care of yours, so that you don't make a challenging situation in your life harder. I'm just picking this one, the temple, our body. As I have gotten older, my body has changed, just like everyone else does as you get older. The vibrancy is different. The aches and pains are different. I have pains in my body that I didn't have 4 or 5 years ago, that now I experience that I didn't before. But I also realize that some of the pains I experience today come from my youth, from things I did as a young man, because I put some stress onto this body throughout time, and without getting in detail. But today I feel some of it. One of them's my shoulder. I broke my shoulder twice as a young man, and today, especially at night, I'll feel it in this left shoulder here, laying in bed, and 2 accidents that I had that broke this shoulder, and then decades later, I feel it. But I'm saying that now, at this age, that I do the best that I can to take care of it, so that I can still do what I'm doing today, talking to you. When I was in Africa and ministered all day long on a Sunday, remember I finished one of the Sundays, I'm walking up the stairs to the bishop's office, and he says, good thing Pastor Dion's in good shape, is what he says as we're walking up the stairs. And he was making note that I went through a whole day of ministering to his congregation, numerous preachings and praying at the altar, all the things, and going through it. But I didn't tell him where I was physically, but that's what he observed. But that was preparing for the winter, that I prepared. And I don't work out now like I did 20 years ago. But I still think about, okay, I have to exercise. I have to take care of this body. What do I eat? I know I've shared this, what I take in, my calories. I take in less today than I did 20 years ago, because my metabolism doesn't move as fast anymore. So I have to dial it back, lest I add on to a situation that I don't need to. And I realize that it's going to keep doing that. Change, 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 change. Winter, winter, winter. And you're no different. Your life's no different. You have to look and say, okay, I have challenges in my life. The unexpected challenge, the expected challenge. Let me prepare for the expected challenge, so that when the unexpected challenge rises up, I don't make it worse. In counseling people and directing people and giving people instructions, um, I do my best to encourage people to like watch this and come in person and hear me, because I'm going to give a lot of instructions. I'm going to give a lot of tools. I'm going to give a lot of things to do to help yourself. And I know some people don't like that in preaching, the self-help they call it, but it's not so much about self-help or Dr. Phil or Tony Robbins or whoever you want to pick. It's about you have a life in front of you. You have to live in this world, and that you can do the best that you can by not getting distracted by a lot of other things that are unnecessary on our life. So I encourage people to take this in, also take in the preachings live in person. But I know a lot of people would like to just have one-on-one, like I'm their personal life coach, their trainer, and I could just walk them through in life. I can't do that because there's too many people, and I have a lot of other things I have to do. So I encourage people, get as much as you can from these things. But when I do speak to somebody one-on-one, when it does happen, and how many times I will be counseling somebody and I'll instruct them on what the situation is. This is what you're up against. This is how you need to navigate it, and stay away from doing this over here, because you already have this load here. Stay away from this load here to add to this. In other words, be your own friend. But so many people, they already have a challenge in their life. They're already navigating some in their life, and then they make it worse by going down this road that's going to not help them. It's going to hurt them. It's like going down this road is like, if I can give the example, a hornet's nest. There's a hornet's nest and it's hanging on a tree. It's like, stay away from that hornet's nest. And then instead of staying away from it, they go up to it. They start agitating it. They start picking on it. And they provoke the hornets to come out, the wasps to come out and attack them. It's like, why didn't you just stay away from that? You saw it there. There's no need to go over there. You don't need to touch it. Be your own friend. We were at camp. I've probably shared this story before, but if you've heard it, just go with me again. We were at camp up in the woods, and we were in the rec area. And the rec area is set away from all the cabins. And everybody was already in their cabins. As me and another individual, we were the last two out. We're just making rounds, getting ready to go to our cabin. And we're standing there, and then I see a skunk. There's a skunk. The skunks would come around, and of course, you know what a skunk will do. And then I told him, I said, okay, I'm going to count to 3. And at 3, we're going. We're running. We're getting away from the skunk. So I go 1, 2, 3. And there was concrete sidewalk that went like this, that went towards the cabins. And then there was a straight line that had no pavement. It was just dirt and natural setting there. I went on the sidewalk, even though it wasn't a straight line, but it was paved and I could see it. He went in the straight line. He beelined. So he's running beeline, and his brain isn't going to remember the whole terrain. And there was a retaining wall that was like 5, 6 feet. And he's running, and he comes to that retaining wall, doesn't realize, goes off and twists both his ankles, boom, and, put him on the ground. Meanwhile, I was already, I made it to the cabin a lot quicker, even though I had more distance to cover. But my distance was paved. It was a paved distance. points. He thought, okay, the straight line, and I know how it works, and the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, yes. But is that straight line paved? Is that straight line have lighting? Is that straight line have ability to step on it? And it's getting back to saying, okay, be your own friend and do your best to stay on the path that you should be on, and not go to a path that's going to make matters worse. Now hear me. The other thing that sounds wise, this sounds wise, but can get us in trouble, is the so-called path of least resistance. In other words, the path that seems the easiest. Because the easiest path doesn't necessarily mean the best path. Because sometimes what happens when we look for the path of least resistance, the path that we think is the easiest, it makes it hard. And you say, how do you figure? Because we take more time and energy looking to avoid resistance. And what is resistance? Pushing weights is resistance. Fasting is a resistance towards us. Enduring the heat is a resistance. It's a resistance. So you have to push yourself at times when times are not coming at you and you can prepare for the winter. You put the resistance, you prepare. That's the resistance part. The clothing for the snow, the gloves for the hands. That's the resistance. Instead of looking, say, how do I get out of work? How do I get out of putting effort? If you ever work with somebody, it doesn't take long till you find that you could tell that's a good worker. And then that's a lazy worker. And the lazy worker is someone that looks for the path of least resistance. They won't take on a challenge. They won't climb a mountain. They won't jump a hurdle. And they think they're being smart. And what they're doing is they're hurting themselves. It's just, again, getting back to taking care of this temple. I watch people do it. They destroy their temple. They make their life worse. And they won't see it. They won't see it. It's like, be your own friend. Take care of your temple. Be your own friend. You have to live in it. Just like if I gave you a choice, do you want the nice car or the rundown beat up car? Which one do you want? You want the nice car that rides nice, that has air conditioning, that has a nice sound system, that you know you could jump in and drive to the next state and it's going to take care of you? Or do you want to drive that car that you're not sure it's going to hold up? You're not sure it's not going to break down in the middle of the desert. There is no air conditioning. The air conditioning is you put the windows down. Everybody say, I want the nice car. Well, what about this? What about our temples? Do you want to live in one that's going to take care of you? And I know what people say. I've heard it. We don't worship our bodies. No, we don't. But we don't worship our cars either. But do we want a nice car? Yes. So why is that not worshiping our car? Because it's not. It's because the nice car is going to take care of us. Well, taking care of our body takes care of us. Being a friend to ourselves. Being a friend to ourselves. For me, I'm not going to beg someone to come to church. I'm not going to beg somebody to worship the Lord. I'm not going to beg somebody to pray. I'm not going to beg somebody to fast. What do I mean beg? Why? If you beg them, it lowers the value and worth. They don't see the value and worth. They see it as like you're selling them something. In other words, like it's their privilege, or it's your privilege that they pray, not their privilege. It's like, no, it's your privilege to pray. It's your privilege. It's your privilege to worship. It's your privilege to serve God. It's your privilege to fast. It's your privilege. And most people don't see that. They see it as a penalty, or they see it as somebody else's privilege, that if they do it. It's like, no, it's your privilege to serve the Lord. It's my privilege to serve the Lord. And I say it this way, we don't have to serve the Lord. We get to serve the Lord. We get to do it. Because some people can't do it. Some people can't pray. They can't worship. They can't fast. They don't have that ability. They can't go 2 hours without needing some type of a snack, not because of their health or their diabetes. It's because they don't have the discipline. They don't have the self-control. And I want this to come with mercy and grace and compassion, but at the same time, we have to put resistance on ourselves. Instead of taking the path of least resistance, then we can't control ourselves. We have no self-control. We have no discipline. We have no ability to climb the mountain. We have no ability to get over the hurdle, because every time we got a challenge, we forfeited. Every time resistance came, we fled, we ran, we exited. We never climbed a hill. We never went to a mountain and climbed it. We never went over a hurdle. We avoided everything, so that when life shoved us, or life shoves us, we're not ready for the snow. We're not prepared for it. We can't get through it. That's why we plan and prepare for the winter, for when that snow falls. We've planned for it. We've prepared for it. And then when the unexpected comes, we don't add to our plate, because we didn't take care of what we needed to take care of. Without this being more difficult than it needs to be. Again, I'm not going to beg somebody. I want to encourage somebody. But so many people, you introduce them to their own accord. This is on your own accord. Serving God on your own accord, as compared to doing it out of fear. Doing it out of being afraid. You do it because you understand the long-term benefits of it. You understand tomorrow. What do I mean? You understand that the winter's going to come, so your household is prepped. Your household is prepared, because you did what you were supposed to while you were in the good weather. In the good weather. Yeah. The time you should push yourself is when things are good. That's when you should push yourself, when things are good. I'm going to start wrapping this up, but you know what it looks like. Some people, they're going to pray, they're going to fast, they're going to seek the Lord when times are tough. And then when they're not going to. There's others, they're going to thank the Lord when times are good, but the rest of the time they're going to close it down. When should we worship? When should we fast? When should we praise? It's not just in the hard times, and it's not just in the good times. We should be consistent day in and day out. Be constant in season and out of season. That's what the Bible says. Be instant in season and out of season. We should pray every day. Every day we should pray. I remember when I got introduced to fasting as a young man. It was a new concept to me. I had never fasted in my life. And I remember looking to go to 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock as a young man. And back then, you were instructed to not drink water. I would not encourage that. It's called a dry fast. I always tell everyone I counsel, you drink water, drink water. Some people I talk to won't do it. They only dry fast. I say there's 0 calories in water, 0 calories. So you're not breaking a fast when you drink water. You're hydrating and cleaning your body out. But we dry fast. So 3 o'clock and trying to get to 3, and then sometimes 5, or trying to get into the night. But going 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours wasn't even on my radar. And just a day was a challenge to me. Later on, getting introduced and going 8 days on water, 8 days after going 3 days, or after going 5 days and 3 days of water. And I look and I say, wow. But it was climbing mountains, climbing mountains, climbing mountains. But now to me, fasting is a lifestyle for me. It's a lifestyle. It's way different. I understand it differently. I see it differently. I see it as a privilege. And I get it. And I mean, there's times I'm fasting and I'm thinking a food may cross my mind, or however you want to say the hunger. It's just like, just keep going. You're all right. You're going to be okay. You know your mark. Push towards that mark. Get to that mark. But the long-term benefits. I'll give you this last one before I wrap it up. I had a gentleman. He looked at me and he says, "You do hormone therapy, don't you?" And if you don't know what hormone therapy is, where you take shots for your to get all those benefits. And I said, "No." He goes, "You don't." I said, "No." He goes, "What do you do?" I said, "I fast." He goes, "What?" I said, "I fast." And he looks at me and he looks at his wife. He says, "Did you hear him?" He says, "What do you do?" It's a water fasting. I said, "Look it up. Look up the benefits of water fasting. See what they do." And I wasn't even, it wasn't something I was looking to do. But he looked and he was like, "Okay, what's this guy do?" Now for me, I had no clue fasting what all those benefits were. But now I know there's a lot I still don't know, but I know a lot more than what it does. It helps you physically, it helps you mentally, it helps you spiritually. And I've explained this because when you begin to turn this temple down, the spiritual man gets more alive. The more you feed this flesh, the more your spiritual man gets put down. He gets snuffed out. Anyways, do what you do because you love the Lord. Do it on your own accord. Do it because you see the benefits, even though it may seem hard. But what's harder is not doing it. That's what's harder. Harder is not doing it. Doing those things is easier than not doing it. I don't have time to break that down, but hopefully God. Thank you for joining us here this Sunday morning. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back here in person, 1363 South Vineyard in Mesa, Arizona, 85210. If you'd like to bless us financially, there should be some things on the screen there that you can hit and subscribe, give through some different apps. Again, I encourage you to at least subscribe to our channel. At least subscribe to it. Hit the thumbs up if possible. If you're on a television right now, you just hit the little thing. You could find it. Take your remote, boom, hit the little thumbs up, boom, good. Helps us out. Thank you. Have a blessed day.